Ever notice how sometimes in your life, the guy that you've spent the most time with is not necessarily the guy you're the most sad over, and the guy that you're the most sad over, that really rips your heart out of your chest, is actually someone you spent, relatively speaking, very little time with. There's good scientific reasons for this, and I'm going to explain what they are today and why it's normal. I'm creating this video because I'm sick of clients who are coming to me and beating themselves up for feeling this way. The classic line is, "I shouldn't feel like this." "I only dated him for like 2 months. I shouldn't be this sad. We didn't know each other that long. I shouldn't feel like this." Yes, you should. And the reason is the Maltz effect. The Maltz effect is made up of 3 individual factors and all need to be there. Number 1, insane chemistry. You've probably seen my video on when a dating coach gets ghosted, and this is exactly when it happened to me. Sometimes you just meet that person who, for whatever reason, just ticks your brain's chemistry boxes like no other. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, the chemistry is just insane from the get-go. It's not necessarily that you're even acting on it, but you're still thinking on it. Your mind is still dwelling on it all the time. This is always the case in the Maltz effect, and I see it really commonly in these situations where you're devastated over a guy you haven't known long. Number 2, vivid future projections. So even if you can keep control of taking action on it, the crazy chemistry, the crazy dopamine release in your brain means that your mind is always on him. Thus, you float towards future projections and vividly imagining the two of you together. That's what's important here, is the vividness of the imagination. When you think about traveling together, you don't just think about traveling together, you think about literally going to that place in Italy and rowing the boats down the river. You think about going to that specific festival that you love and getting drunk together. You don't just think about adventures in the future, you think about and you talk even about going to Fiji and meeting the locals, or going to New Zealand and doing that bungee jump. Buying that house on the water in the suburb that you both love with a Belgian mountain dog named Zuma and a cat named Oreo who are best friends. The whole scene is very vivid. Number 3, sudden loss. I always see sudden loss with the Maltz effect and these levels of sadness and devastation, and it's because the guy has just cut it off without warning. Insane chemistry plus vivid imagination plus sudden loss equals the Maltz effect. Now, why does it make you so sad? Why does it make you, in many cases, sadder than losing your long-term relationships? We find the answer in one of my all-time favorite personal development books, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. In this book, he does a couple of interesting studies. In the first one, he takes 3 groups of people. One group, he gets to practice shooting basketball hoops live in person. The second group, he gets to practice shooting basketball hoops vividly, only in their mind. And the third group does nothing. The results of the study were fascinating. The group that practiced in real life and the group that practiced vividly in their mind got exactly the same results, far more than the group that didn't practice at all when it came to shooting basketball hoops. In the second study, he took a group and split them into 2 with a public speaking challenge. One group he had actually do the public speaking, and the other group he only had them imagine they were doing it. The nervous response, the sweating, the anxiety, the increased heart rate, blood pressure, all the same in both groups. In short, a vividly imagined experience had exactly the same effect on the subject's nervous system as did the real experience itself. What does this tell us? This tells us that when that insane chemistry gets going and when those vivid imaginations kick in, you're doing a lot more than imagining it. As far as your nervous system is concerned, you are living it. And when the sudden loss comes, you're not just losing a guy that you've seen for a few dates or had around for a couple of months. As far as your nervous system is concerned, you're losing everything. You're losing Oreo, you're losing Zuma, you're losing the house by the water in the suburb that you love. You're losing that trip to Fiji where you met all those beautiful locals. You're losing the adventure in New Zealand. You're losing that trip down the water in those boats. You're losing that amazing, incredible festival together. It's like waking up from a beautiful dream and realizing it's all smoke and mirrors. So don't beat yourself up for feeling this way. Don't come to me and say, Mark, why am I so sad over this guy? I only knew him 6 weeks. What's going on? It's normal. I know it sounds ridiculous. Your brain is not just mourning those 6 weeks or those few dates. Your brain is mourning that entire relationship that you envisaged together. And that's why you're so sad over that guy you barely knew. Well, that's the video. Thank you for watching. I hope that gives you some good understanding as to your own psychology and the way it works. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions. Put it all in the space below. And don't forget to download your free guide from the description as well. Hit the subscribe button with the little bell and the thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.